every week we do our best to search and find some unique and interesting people, and today is no exception. We have the owner of Helping Seniors, or Chefs for Seniors, Jean Civil. Did I get that right, Jean?
You did, Joe. Thanks.
Jean, thank you so much for being. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
So I went to the website and I got it immediately, right? Like I get what I think you do, which is help people like my mother make some meals for the week. So you'll go on a Monday and you'll make them meals for the week. Do I got that right?
You do. So the whole point of Chefs for Seniors is to allow senior citizens to age in place. They want to age in, they don't want to just age in place. They want to age in place gracefully. So with Chefs for Seniors, we not only take away that malnutrition that they sometimes have, but we also take away that loneliness that they have. They're in their homes by themselves, especially with the pandemic. They don't want to go out. They're afraid. They're afraid to fall. So they have somebody like us that comes out. They pick 3 choices from our client-facing menu and a soup or a salad. And then our chef will go out and she will shop for that food. She will then go to the house, bring the food with her and all of her tools. And she will go and cook in that client's kitchen.
And if I know most of these people, they're in the kitchen with them wanting to help.
They are in the kitchen, chatting away.
Kitchen. That's right.
Yeah. So I did hire a chef because I'm a good cook, and I did it in the beginning, but I needed to know how to do it and what needed to be done.
Well, and there's cooking and there's a nutritious cooking. So there is a difference here.
There is a big difference. And we make sure when I go and I do the initial consultation, which, by the way, is free of charge all the time, I sit with them and I find out if their doctors have told them they have high blood pressure, they have low sodium, they need diabetic diet, whatever it is that their doctor has recommended they eat. That is the way we're going to prepare that food for them.
So I'm curious because, this is kind of my background a little bit, food service. So are you supplementing a chef's income by letting the chef possibly have 1 or 2 of your clients, or are you hiring a full-time chef that is doing the work for Chefs for Seniors? I'm curious how the dynamics of employment works here, because I could see it working well in both directions.
So what we do, I do not have anyone that is full-time right now. I only opened in April. So I do have one chef that she's taking care of all the clients. I would love to get her to a point where she is my chef in charge, and she can hire more and more people.
Right.
I am actually going to be putting an ad on LinkedIn today for a chef, but that's going to be a part-time. So I'm looking for people who just want to cook, that love seniors.
Right.
They don't have to be chefs per se. They have to be good cooks that can follow recipes, that can go shopping, and can get all this done in a 2.5 to 3 hour time frame.
Right.
So, because that's really the only way it's going to pay for everybody.
Right.
You don't want to be in someone's home for 5 hours. They don't want you there that long, and you certainly aren't going to make any money if you're there that long.
The elderly have about 2 or 3 hours at a time, and that's it. Then they got to
lay down.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. I know that, Danny, because I'm heading in that direction. Okay, so let's do this. Let's back up. Now, you don't have to go back to 1962.
It's a good thing because I wasn't around.
But give me a little bit of your background.
So, funny story. I'm a respiratory therapist by trade. I worked in the hospitals for years and years. Decided that I wanted more of a life than working, 3 to 11, 11 to 12, the crazy shifts, the weekends, the holidays. So I went into sales and marketing, and I did medical, healthcare, sales and marketing for 30-something years, and realized that I was really tired of making everybody else a lot of money. And I was going to buy a house, and the crazy market, I couldn't even get to the houses before they were sold. And I didn't have the kind of money to overpay.
Right.
So I decided to buy a business. And I love food, and I love senior citizens. So that's how we put all this together.
How did you find this franchise? How did that process work? There's a lot of people out there listening would like to know how that process happened for you.
So I was miserable, home scrolling my phone, and I saw it on Facebook. this Chefs for Seniors, and I looked at it, and like you said, it's really well written.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what they're doing. What I didn't realize was that it was a franchise. I just said, wow, Barrett, this is a great idea. Keep up the good work, because I love seniors. I love the fact that we're letting them age in place. They're not going into nursing homes. So he sent back a message saying, are you interested in the franchise? And I'm like, this guy doesn't know me. I don't have money to buy a franchise. What is
little does he know?
This is crazy. I can't afford a franchise. Well, we did a phone interview. He had me interview with 4 other franchise owners across the country. I was able to ask them questions. They were able to ask me questions. And my one question to them, it's funny because you had asked Danny the same question earlier, is if you could tell yourself something in the beginning, what would it be? What would you? What do you wish you had known first? And all of their answers were the same. You're not going to grow as fast as you think you do. Make sure you're prepared, to not make money. And oh, damn, were they right? Because
could she say damn?
Struggle. She already did.
So, there's something about the website, and we can pull it up now so for the people on Facebook can see the website. Something about it that I really liked was that it had a formality to it, but I also felt like there was some customization to this, right? Like whatever my mom wants, I'm sure you can figure out and make that work, so it had a little bit of both. Am I making sense when I say that? Because that's what it felt like.
No, you are definitely making sense. The website is very. I loved it too, honestly. When I went on for the first time, and you can go.
Ooh, that chicken pot pie looked delicious.
You can go.
Can I get your chef come cook me that? I think now leave out the peas. I don't want any peas in there.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I hate peas too, with a passion, especially cooked ones. Yeah, the website is great. It's easy to use, and the service is also very customized. So what I go to Danny's house and make for him, Joe, is not going to be what I'm cooking in your house. And it's totally up to you guys and what you want. We have found that when I go out and I meet with our customers initially, one of the questions I was not asking was, how do you like your vegetables prepared? Sounds ridiculous, right?
Right.
But it's so important. People call and they're like, these vegetables are too hard, or these vegetables are too mushy. And I'm like, okay.
Is it only lunch and dinner meals you prepare? Do you do anything for breakfast as well?
We do. And I really did want to try to get something done to bring for you guys today. But
Isaiah's going to go hungry today.
I know. I'm sorry, Isaiah. I just couldn't get it. There was not enough time. Anyway, there is the client-facing menu has breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. And then you can also send my chef a recipe. My chef sent me pictures the other day of one of her. I asked her to send me pictures of every service so I can make sure that everything's going well and it looks great.
Right.
And it always does. She's amazing. But I was like, I don't recognize half of the things that she's like, oh, Laura sent me. So the daughter of our client sends my chef recipes that she wants her to make for her dad.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Family recipes.
Right,
and that
exactly.
Kind of
so that's why I didn't
great.
recognize it. I'm like, what am I looking at?
Right.
So yeah, we really can customize to whatever anybody needs.
So if somebody wanted to reach you, because there's probably 200 sons and daughters out there thinking this is great for their parents, right? How can they reach you?
They can go on the website. They can connect to the link, fill out a form. They can email me. They can call me. Everything is on the website, so they can.
What's the website address?
It is chefsforseniors.com/Gaston-Lake-Norman North Carolina.
You don't do all that. Just Chefs for Seniors.
Yeah, Chefs for Seniors, and go to the locations.
Click on the locations and you can get it.
And what locations do you serve?
I serve all of Gaston County and all of Lake Norman. We do have another franchise that covers Mecklenburg County, not including Lake Norman, and Union County, and then there's another one right over the border in South Carolina that services that area, Rock Hill, Mint Hill, down in York, I think it is.
So, okay, so I'm not a senior yet. which, by the way, the pastor wanted to remind me, good man that he is. I'm not a senior quite yet. But could I call you also and say, hey, listen, my wife and I are busy. We'd like for someone just to give us some meals so we don't have to mess with it.
You absolutely can. We have a lot of...
Because I could see this service...
Right. We have
not just for the elderly.
Yeah. We have a lot of people that are, we consider the sandwich generation. They're trying to take care of their parents, and they're also trying to take care of their kids. They're going to soccer games and ballet, and then yet mom needs to go to the doctor, and they still have a full-time job. They still have to work. So we service a lot of those families. Those are going to look a little bit different because you're cooking for 5 people instead of one or 2. It's
going to be casseroles and bowls and dishes and stuff
Correct.
like that.
Family style.
Yeah, right. It doesn't have, you don't have to break them up,
Exactly. No, there's no individual.
Exactly. Because, Danny, this could work for me. See, because I could have them make a lasagna or something, you understand? Invite you and your wife over, and I ain't got to be
there you go.
Dirtying up the kitchen, you understand?
That sounds like a plan.
There you go.
Works for me.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay. Sounds good.
YouTube questions.
YouTube questions.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. This is Danny Decker and Gene Civil, and we are talking to you because your business matters. We'll be right back. And we're back. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. So, Gene, let's get started because I've got all manner of questions to ask you. Let's take them one by one. First one is a Facebook question from the pastor. He is asking, can he book regular weekly sessions for you to come to his home? How does that work?
Oh, he definitely can. So what would happen is I would go out, do that initial consultation, and get him on my chef's schedule. When my chef comes out, and we'll schedule it every week at the same time. It's either usually 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock so that she has time to do both services the right way. And we just book it. And when the chef comes out to cook in the home, their homework is to go through the menu and let her know what they want for the next time that she comes.
Got it. Okay. And so we talked about this at the break. There's no contracts here, so I can try it. If I like it, I keep it. If not, I can
You
cancel
absolutely
it.
Can. So I do ask that people try that they sign on for 2 tries because it's really hard, I think, to make a judgment on just one service. So I do ask that they commit to 2. After that, and I don't really hold anyone to it, honestly, if they hate it and they don't want us to come back, really no reason to come back. But
honestly, if you're going to cook my recipe.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
And you're picking the food.
Right.
Like you have a menu that has a description. It's like going to a restaurant. Like, do I want this with cherry glaze or do I want it with, soy salmon, or do I want beef? Whatever you want is what we're going to make.
Right.
So it's very personalized.
Interesting. So you also talked about, and I didn't think about this until you said it, and then I thought maybe you're a genius. The people coming out of the hospital.
Right.
Or before or after they're going to surgery, there is a bunch of challenges to what they can eat. And you can help them go through all of that, work through all that.
Yes, we can. And, even if it's not a challenge with something that they can or can't eat, it's just a matter of when you get home from, you have a shoulder surgery, a hip surgery, you're not going to be able to go in the kitchen and cook. You can go in the kitchen and take one of our little dishes out and put it in the microwave and cook for yourself. We also are cooking for churches now as well in their kitchens, and we leave food for them to deliver to their congregations when somebody passes away or somebody has a baby or whatever the case may be where they want to start that food train. The church can start it because they've got our meals made in their freezer waiting to be
So you said something which was kind of interesting to me, which is your marketing is starting off slow. You're having a challenge, or you're not quite sure how to make that work. Talk a little bit about that. A lot of people miss the point that just because you're buying a franchise doesn't mean the minute you open the doors, people come flooding in, right?
That is
so let's
valid.
talk about that. And lucky to you, we got a marketing expert here that might just give you some advice.
Right. So Danny had asked me earlier what I was doing, and I the franchise does the marketing, the digital marketing, if you will. And I'm struggling with, do I want to put my dollars into the Google part of it or the Facebook part of it or both? Now, Facebook, I get a lot more leads. They come in, but I'm not up and running with what did you call
automation?
It? Automation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not up and running with automation yet. And so it's a lot of work for me to follow up with those Facebook leads. And I feel like 90% of them are just window shoppers.
Yeah.
So.
They're weak. Danny, before you answer that, Julie asked this question and 3 other people have asked the same question. Give me an idea of the cost to do this. They're afraid it is not affordable for them. So that may be what's happening on Facebook, Danny. Once they find the price, they realize it's too much for me. So give me an idea of cost.
They're not finding the cost on Google or Facebook.
Right.
Because each of the franchises can set up their own pricing. So
right.
for my costs for here, it is $140 for the service. They get 6 to 12 meals plus a soup, a big thing of soup, and they pay for the service plus the cost of groceries. So we go to the grocery store, and when we get to the house, we hand the client the grocery bill.
Right.
They can look and see that everything that's on there is...
How do they pay for that? Do they write a check for those items? How does that work?
I take their credit card information on the
Okay.
initial consultation, and then I put it into my system. I only see the last 4 of the credit card after that, and I shred their information.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
That's a great price.
Yeah.
That's great value.
I was
I
thinking
thought
the
so,
same
too.
thing, Danny. I mean, you and I were talking. I could DoorDash 2 meals and be over that number.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I try to explain to my seniors. And we're not wasting food. So they can also have somebody bring them a ton of groceries, and then they can throw all those groceries away 3 weeks from now because nobody prepared them. They're too tired, and they'd rather just go eat a box of crackers.
Okay, so let's get back on point, Danny. Her leads are drying up or they're weak from Facebook, and it's not based on that price. It is not about cost.
Yeah. So a thought I have is maybe try using a survey. Like when a Facebook lead comes in, ask them a few questions. What's your monthly grocery budget? Ask them a few questions that then when you get that information, you can kind of sort through and say, okay, like these leads look like they might be more promising, and maybe these ones aren't. So at least you can kind of focus in on who are the right people to follow up with.
Right. I see what you're saying. I would figure out how to do that. But yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Well, and the other thing I just tell everybody is if you're on Facebook anyways, and I don't know if you're already spending any money on boosting your posts, but even if you just spend like $50 a week, like not a lot of money, even $25 a week, you can reach exponentially more people than you can just by posting organically. So if you're already on Facebook making the effort to put these posts out or using the campaigns from your franchise, spend $100 a month and just you'll reach a ton more people. And on Facebook, you can target very specifically. You can target 65 and up. You can target your specific zip codes.
Pretty sure that's what they do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
Are they spending money? Are they
I
actually
spend
putting
the money.
dollars?
I give it to them.
Okay, great.
And they do the actual work.
Great.
I don't do that part of it.
Great.
I mean, I have my own Facebook. I have my Chefs for Seniors Facebook, my real local one. But they do all that.
Fantastic.
And they do it specifically to the market.
Fantastic.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a YouTube question. Are you ready?
I don't know.
A short
Okay.
question. Okay, here it is. Do you have any tips for home and work-life balance? Because you're starting this business out, right? So I would think both of them are pretty busy right now. Walk me through that.
So I actually had this conversation with my son last night because I want to carve pumpkins, and he's like, "I'm too busy." I'm like, I got to give him a look like, you got to be kidding me, dude. What? You're too busy? But it's, I did sit down with him and say, you need to make time. He is very busy. He's a physics major and he's minoring in engineering. So he's super busy. But you need to make time for yourself, for your family, for self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And not only does that include my family, but all the seniors that we're reaching out to help and try to get them to age in place. So I think just making sure that you're giving yourself time to do things you enjoy is super important to bring back to your business and come back renewed and ready to go.
Great point. Thank you. So let me ask you another YouTube question, which is, what advice would you give somebody that's looking at franchises right now? What experience would you like to say, hey, for me, this is something that I think you ought to keep an eye on?
I think that doing your research, doing your homework, making sure you know exactly what you're getting into and giving yourself time to get it up and running is the best advice. And I wish I had taken more of that advice when I got it, because I was like, I'm not going to need that time. I'm going to be able to do this. I know everybody. Not so much.
Right.
So you just make sure you do your research and you give yourself the time to grow.
Okay, great. Thanks. So, Danny, I hear this all the time. People think that they're going to increase sales by 25%, or that they're going to take a franchise and immediately get it to the number that somebody that's been in business 3 years is going to get, and they miss all of the steps in between. One of those steps, Gene, is hiring staff. Because you got to have the staff before you need them. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that means you got to write a check before you actually have the revenue to support it. So it really is an investment to continue to add. People miss that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the scariest parts of building a small business. I've been there twice. I'm building my team up again now, and when I was building my agency, same thing. It's like you got to hire before you need them, because otherwise you don't have the time to do the things.
Or you won't need them if you don't.
Exactly. But writing that check before you've got the revenue, that is one of those things.
What you're doing is you're constantly reinvesting in your business as you're growing it.
Yeah, and you're betting on yourself, and that's what always I come back to is you're betting on yourself.
I'll take that bet all day long. Danny, you and I have been doing that our whole lives.
Exactly.
Exactly. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll see you next week.